After dozens of different fleet loadouts, I finally figured out how to beat Algérie META without Helena. This fight seems simple, but it actually requires a very specific fleet composition and specific gear to beat. Now, you can use Helena to beat this fight, but her RNG is janky, and even with a few radar scans, beating Algérie META isn't a guarantee. So I wanted a consistent strat. To sum up the intel, you want to use armor piercing to hit multiple pillars and Algérie herself, and a tanky Vanguard for the fire, or fire extinguishers. We will be using battleships because battleships are the best for medium armor enemies. This battle sounds too easy, right? Just battleships and large cruisers? Well, I tried lots of fleets and got close so many times, but nothing seemed to work. Until I finally got the fleet and gear right. Through all my testing, I found 5 ships that were perfect. Vanguard, for her 10% more enemy damage taken. Her gear is a standard battleship loadout, but it doesn't really matter. Bismarck's Way, because she's the best ultra-rare battleship. New Jersey, also a broken battleship. Kronstadt for her amazing armor-piercing damage and light cruiser secondary. And Plymouth for her armor-piercing damage and 18% more flagship damage. But I needed just one more ship that got me that extra 5 to 10% health. I tested an insane amount of characters, but you saw the first clip and thumbnail, so you know it's Kashino. The whole time I wanted the Kashino fleet to work for a few reasons. First, Kashino is my favorite character, for obvious reasons, but mostly because she's a cowgirl, something I didn't know I liked until I got her. But more importantly, she's one of the few ships in the game that can buff battleships. Unlike carriers, there are only a few ships that provide useful buffs to battleships. The reason Kashino is so special and awesome is because she has a special piece of gear that increases your battleships and large cruisers' firepower by 10%, and this is the key to beating Algérie META. Honestly, for how complicated I made everything else seem, the fight is ridiculously easy. There is some dodging to do, but since my fleet is so tanky, I don't have to worry too much about it. The only reason that this strategy works is because Bismarck's Way, SWY, is absolutely broken because of that singularity alone. This lets all of your battleships hit all of the pillars and Algérie herself. Like, isn't that crazy? Instead of them being all spread out, the singularity draws them all in and you can hit them with all of your firepower. That's why you have to make sure that Bismarck's calibration gets sent out first, so that she can spawn that singularity, then New Jersey, then Vanguard can lay into her. It is an awesome achievement that I figured this out. This is actually the first battle where I managed to beat her, 100-0, with no supporting barrage. Obviously, it's way easier with the supporting barrage, but this one didn't have it. The only attack I really put effort into dodging was that one, because those lasers can deal an insane amount of damage and melt your fleet if you're not careful, or if you're using a lighter fleet. But they're not insanely difficult to dodge, and either way, I'm still focused on shelling Algérie and the pillars more than anything else. I'm okay with taking damage as long as I can get a bullseye with my calibration. That's the other thing I should kind of say. You want your calibrations to be in the middle of Algérie and all our pillars. Of course, when Bismarck goes first, you want that to be the perfectly aimed one so that she can suck all the enemies in. But yeah, this is the first battle where I got 100-0, and I was in shock. But yeah, that's the fight. It's not too complicated, except for the fact that it is, and you need very specific gear to manage it. I also want to say, the special gear that helps this entire fight work is Battle Tracto Max, which basically just gives fire, power, and evasion. That's all I use it for. But more importantly, Gold Burn. So both Plymouth and Kronstadt have both these pieces of gear, and Gold Burn gives 38 reload. That isn't crazy for Plymouth, but that is huge for Kronstadt, and it gives her a huge buff to her damage, giving them just that slight edge I needed to finally beat Algérie META. That's also the reason this video took so long, so sorry about that, but it was a lot of trial and error trying to figure out what worked and what didn't. I also gave Kashino a dynamic cannon, because that gives your team a slight buff. Normally, I'd also do a segment where I recommend additional ships that could be used for this, but unfortunately, I think only this fleet can work. I was thinking Kisirj, the new aviation battleship, could work, but I don't have 500 blueprints to get her to dev level 30, so yeah, no one else does either. I don't think she's viable just yet. Potentially in the future, though. Instead, as a bonus, I'll add 2 different things you might like. So one thing I discovered after the Queen Elizabeth meta video is, it's actually possible to do without Helena. It requires, and I mean second perfect timing to do, but look at this, it is possible without Helena. You just also have to be very careful and dodge projectiles, but it definitely works. It's pretty amazing. And the second set of screenshots. Now, this is potentially the only player I've seen that has also beaten the boss, that has supported me, but a few things I want to note. First of all, I've tried to comp extremely similar to this using Mden, both Bismarcks, and August, and August does no damage either way. Bismarck, normal Bismarck, does no damage either way. Mden does next to no damage. So your only sources of damage are Plymouth, Bismarck, Zwei, and Azur. But yeah, they cannot beat this boss. The last piece of evidence I'll give you to this guy probably cheating is the 1.53 million damage. That's a little suspicious. That's not 1.5. How do you do that? How do you get overkill damage? So yeah, I just wanted to say that. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, or if it helped you at least a little bit, consider leaving a like, or maybe even subscribing. If you guys have any questions, I'll gladly respond to them in the comments down below. Anyways, this is going to be Enzo from LookIntoGaming signing out.